nihilist.
Wait, dude.
And
You're a bit of a nihilist? Just okay.
I think so.
Wait, here. Let me open it up. Because right now, Ian, you're officially on Red, Wine, and Chill.
Let's go.
You're on. So I was just asleep, enjoying my slumbers, and then I got a phone call. I thought it was my alarm, but it was Ian wanting to use the R word. Can you explain to everybody what you were just telling me? What you roused me up from my slumber for?
Yeah. Look. I'm not. I'm not a proponent of the R word. You know, I don't think. Well, I guess I don't really have a strong opinion on it. I've never really broke it down. What I will say is I think Giselle is very smart. She's a very tough cookie. I like her. I like her ideas. And I think she's right. And I'm a total asshole for even saying what I'm about to say. But I think as long as it's in, like I say, a safe space with with friends, and we're all on the understanding that the word is bad, but we use it because it's funny and it's a safe space. And, the people I use it around, I don't have to educate them on it because they already know.
They already know how to
funny.
bring down underdevelopmental people, huh?
Yeah. Well, no, because we don't use it. We would never use it towards those people. We'd use it. That's why we use it in our circles, because it's just funny and we're not putting anybody down. It's I think as long as you're safe and you're smart with it, and I think Giselle's right. I think you should use it. That's why we use
a ring a ding ding, a ring a ding ding.
I'm sorry to
wait. Computer malfunction. Oh man, I don't even know if everything was on right now and we just heard everything. But just to bring it back, you're saying that you're with you and your friends, you already know it oppresses people without frontal lobes. And wait, what are you saying? You woke me up to tell me you hate R words? You hate
No.
You hate mentally underdeveloped people? Is that what you woke me up to tell me?
No.
What's going on?
To tell you how much of a puss you're being for not using the R word anymore.
You're pussy yes, pussy.
Yes, you're a pussy.
You're
yes.
pussy yes. I'm sorry to tell you, you're pussy.
Look.
How am I the pussy when I'm the one still using the R word?
Look, what year is it? Where am I right now?
You're in fucking LA.
Oh, I'm in Los Angeles.
I want to come visit you.
What year? Is it 2022? It's life
2024, baby.
Oh,
almost 25.
Oh no. Where are you calling me from?
From the city of brotherly love.
What city is that?
That would be Philadelphia.
Philadelphia what?
Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania? And for people who don't know, where is Pennsylvania located?
That would be the East Coast.
Of what country?
The United States of America.
Wrong! West Russia! Say it.
What? Why?
Say you live in West Russia for me.
Why?
Because I like to hear the truth. You like to put down mentally underdeveloped people, and you live in West Russia. Just say it all. You and your friends, all you guys that are using the R word are West Russian. That's a new R word for you. Now, whenever you want to make fun of your friend, just call him Russian. Because that's what you guys are. I can't believe.
Do you remember that time you were here in Philly, and that one girl we were hanging out with at my place? She was like, "Fuck, what did she say?" She was like, you were like, "Oh no," you were like, "Aren't you Russian or something?" And she was like, "No, oh my God, I'm Romanian." And you're like, "Oh, same thing."
Oh yeah. Is that why?
She like freaked out on you. She's like,
"Oh, Yeah, that was. Yeah, you're talking about how Joe Novell from Florida, West Russia, he had those 3 stages of, just to quote him, I do not condone this, but he said the charitard.
Oh yeah.
And when I'm drinking, and you were just calling me before I started broadcasting, and you were agreeing with him. You're like, hey, and just to give you some credit, you were saying Giselle's right on every front, but when we're just around like-minded guys who all just want to abuse a little power, that we should be able to a little bit.
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess when you put it like abuse power, like I just don't see it as abusing power because, again, I think in this very specific scenario, if you're around people that know that like have Giselle's point of view, you know,
Then
I think it can be harmless just in those specific settings, used sparingly, you know, used in not a derogatory sense, but just like a fun, poking fun. Like words are funny. Words are just funny. Like gay is funny. Retard is funny. Can we just you know, we're in 2024. We're all woke. We're all smart. Can we just like also like, you know, like words are just funny sometimes. And like, I want to say it every now and again around people who like, won't be offended by it because they're not mentally challenged or whatever the political.
And let's be
pressure
honest,
is.
people who do have Down syndromes, they don't know what's going on. So who cares if we make fun of them, right? It's not like they know.
Well, I wouldn't go that far, but I don't know. I don't have any developed Down syndrome's friends or family or anything, but I'm just saying, I mean, that's just what I'm saying. I thought that Joe, what he said about you is pretty hilarious. But like, again, in the context of like, yes, it's just a bunch of dudes in a van, you know, you guys are fucking touring for a month straight. Like, it's like, you know, I mean, it kind of is what it is. I don't think anybody's abusing power necessarily. I just think guys are just dumb and we like to like fucking have fun and jerk off and like just like do shit. But I think
you and your band. So when you guys are in a van, you guys all like to call each other the R word while you're jerking off,
leading to both being reclassified as Homo erectus.
No, I'm just saying. I'm just, you know, I'm just kind of I'm exaggerating in a sense, but I'm just saying, you know, I think again, like as long as it stays in the locker room, right? That they were a species
of Homo.
Oh man, I gotta get better with these. I don't really know what to tell you. I mean, for one, I don't have that strong feelings about it. I'm doing it because I am trying to be a better person. I am always trying to get my Joe on. And as you know, Joe Biden represents a man of virtue and principle. And now that this is what gets me, man, is now that the country is just overwhelmingly Trump. We're a Trump country. There's no doubt about it. He won by a landslide.
Yep.
And you got to remember, Trump loves actually abusing power and tearing people down. And now he infected our minds and our blood and our culture that now everybody wants to act like Trump in their personal life. So, yeah, you're saying we're not trying to abuse people or like bring people down. But as a people in the society, that's exactly what we're all about now. And so you call it going soft, but really what I'm doing, I'm just saying, hey, I want nothing to do with the direction America is choosing to go. I want, if I can do anything, I want to redirect it, even if that means retiring the R word and then saying something like this instead.
This was Homo erectus.
Because that's just intelligent, and you can still, you know, there's other ways to make people feel bad. And
that is funny. That is funny. This is Homo erectus. I think that's pretty funny. But I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. About what? I just woke me up. You woke me up for this nonsense.
I don't know. I think, yeah, I mean, he won in a landslide, but I think culture, like the American culture has always been like that. It's always been taking advantage and
Abusing people.
and manipulating people. And yeah, I mean, that's just the way he's in charge. That's why he's popular.
Yeah, and you were right though. What you're getting at, we keep kind of derailing, but those 3 stages of me when I'm drinking.
But yeah.
Cause yeah, and I get what you're saying. Where I told that Romanian girl, "Hey, Russia's just the same. I don't know what your big problem is." Like I am obviously kind of just trolling her at that point, but
Sure.
I was in. I think we were playing in like, was it South, one of the Carolinas? I was with Water Tower actually in Bar J Bar with Juice,
Nice.
and what happened?
Yeah, shout out to real quick, Charlie. Shout out Water Tower. Love you guys. Think you guys are really dope. Just shout out.
Yeah. Oh man, I need to get better at these because I wanted to do a. I need to get more soundbite action in, but I'm thinking about even having someone else in here doing all that
Right.
kind of stuff for me because it's a little.
Right.
I'm not very good. I don't know if you remember me in high school. For those who don't know, Ian, we both went to high school together back when Michigan was United States. Before it was all West Russia, but you weren't even going to school, man. Every day you were just ditching. So you couldn't
That's true.
you couldn't even learn about the impact the R word has on society.
That might be true. That may be true.
I have a theory. Do you listen to podcasts?
I have like, yeah, I don't like religiously, but I have like 1 or 2 that I'll like kind of tune into here and there.
Okay, so this is proving all my point. That people who listen to podcasts, A, vote for Trump, and B, don't know how to use their brain. And I wish I could really go full force, but for people that don't know, I'm staying at Camp Water Tower. I just woke up. Ian called me. I thought it was my alarm. And he just started laying the R word all over me. And I went, I better record this. But yeah, so it does happen. I was touring with Water Tower, and some musicians refused to get on stage with me because I was wearing a poncho. And they were afraid it was
really?
cultural appropriation. Well, to be fair, it wasn't a poncho, but more of a blanket that I cut a hole in.
Right.
And I was also wearing this huge gardening hat that could be easily mistaken for a sombrero. And
I mean, but what's wrong with that?
yeah, I thought that was over the top. And I actually kind of did it justice because now I have a real poncho. And so it's not that I was just being a racist asshole.
Dude, that's what America is about. It's about expression of self and expression of other cultures. We're a hodgepodge of cultures. And I don't get why people, and it's white people, it's white, liberal, educated people that get pissed off at that kind of stuff. Who cares if you want to wear a poncho or a sombrero? You have every right to, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think that's probably, I think it's honorable.
It's
even
honorable to exploit other people.
No, it's not exploitation. I mean, unless you
Survival
have
of the
that,
fittest, motherfucker.
unless you have that intention, I don't think that it's degrading or insulting or manipulation of power or any of that kind of stuff. As long as you have the right intentions, you can wear whatever the fuck you want to wear. What's wrong with that? Don't you think that that's true, Charlie?
Again, I think when they were talking about the whole poncho thing, that was over the top. I think that is maybe why people are going more to your band camp, which is ultimately Trump is like leading the way to go towards Trump. Is what it is. Somebody was explaining it last night. I forget the word. It's like the Overton window, which is pretty much what is acceptable in society. And his whole idea is that, you know, for example, the N-word, that's not acceptable. If you're a politician, whatever, and you use the N-word, you're immediately ostracized. And what we're talking about is, or what he was talking about was how over time, through Trump, that Overton window has been shifting farther and farther away. Where we are allowed to get away with a lot more things. Whether he used the example of we can't have Muslims in the country, where even though he didn't have the power to really enforce that and ban Muslims from joining the country, now as a culture and a hive mind, because we're all sheep, as a hive mind, we're all now, it's more accepted to hate Muslims and not want them in the country. So I
don't know if that's necessarily Trump, though. That's been propagandized for a long time now. The war on terror, I think, did a lot to. I think that was more George W. Bush than Trump. But Trump certainly isn't helping.
But Trump verbalized it and had us all think, oh, it's okay to say that.
Perhaps. I mean, yeah. I mean, Trump is definitely. He's definitely, what's the word I'm looking for? He's like, yeah, I mean, he's like given a pass for people who like, yeah, and white supremacists. I mean, like, trust me. I mean, we're not gonna like. I am just as upset about Trump being in office again. But
and is that why you didn't vote?
Well, no, I did vote. I just didn't vote for your candidate.
Oh, dude, I got a soundbite of you here.
Yeah, like see that's the thing is like you can't ask me.
I forgot what it said. It just said Ian. Who did you vote for?
I voted for Jill Stein.
Oh my God.
What you think you doing up here, little ugly boy? Go sit down somewhere. Wait a minute. What you?
Oh man, you voted for Jill Stein? Isn't she a total nut? She is crazy.
I mean, they're all fucking crazy, dude.
Not Joe Biden. Joe Biden is George Washington. He is the American eagle. Now I want.
Listen, okay.
Yeah.
No, go ahead.
No. I think you're about to give me some good things about Joe Biden.
Well, here's what I'll give you about Joe Biden. I like Joe Biden. I think he's a likable guy. I think he's a stand-up fellow.
The greatest president of all time.
I think he's a sweet man who had a rough time. Like, you educated me on his family, his son dying and his wife dying, and that's tragic. And I really do like Joe Biden. I do. I grew up with him. I watched him debate when he was with Obama, and my dad is a big fan of Joe Biden, but I don't, I don't think he's the greatest president. And B, come on, man. Like, you have to admit that the Democrats totally dropped the ball this time.
Okay, they might have, but I got a special guest for you. 1 second. Hello? What's going on? Can everybody hear me? Oh, you know what? It wasn't going right. Hey, I'd like to welcome Giselle back to Red, White, and Chill.
Hello.
Ian.
Yo.
It's my first time I'm having a merged call on Red, White, and Chill, so I appreciate everybody's patience. I would like to say that in 4 minutes, I scheduled a little... you know what I sent you last night, Giselle? That funny video?
Yes.
Yeah, that's about to come out. So everybody in this emergency broadcast, get ready to listen to it. But I would just like to say we're holding an emergency broadcast, Giselle, because I'm slumbering. I'm in my peaceful world. But yay again, I wake up for my country and I allow Ian to call me and just start dropping the R word all over the place. And I'm like, bro, you need to fully develop your frontal lobe.
Uh-huh.
So Ian's saying something. He's doing the whole, hey, I know Giselle's right, and I like what she's saying, and I agree with her. And but Joe Biden's not the greatest president ever, and I like using the R word.
Well, I wouldn't say I like using the R word.
Oh, okay.
And he's from West Russia, by the way, who voted for Jill Stein, just so you have an idea of our fellow countrymen.
Okay. Could I hear it from him as well? Because Charlie sometimes says things interestingly.
Yeah, Charlie has a knack for over dramatizing some things sometimes. Well, okay. I guess if we're gonna do this, we can do this. Giselle, I think you're a super smart cookie. I think you are absolutely right on 100% of what you the stuff. The first podcast you were on, I watched it with Joe and
see. The thing is, Giselle, you don't like exploiting and taking power and using it to abuse people with less power, which isn't really American. Is that what I'm hearing, Ian?
Well, yeah. I mean, but that's but I'm not okay with that. I'm not okay with like abusing like your power and taking advantage of other people. But that is what America is about. That's how we came to power. We exploited many different kinds of people, but that's just the unfortunate reality of I think a lot of developed countries. Unfortunate, it's an unfortunate reality, but it is a reality, and and that's that. And I guess as far as the R word is concerned, like, yeah, I agree with you. I think we should educate people as much as possible, although that can be really exhausting a lot because I have a sister who's 4 years older than me who is like a full-blown evangelical Trumper, God-fearing, doesn't listen to music, doesn't she's like a full-blown evangelical. And like trying to get through to her is like beyond exhausting. And I guess the long short of what I'm trying to say is I think, you guys touched on the whole locker room talk with Joe, right? And I guess what I was trying to tell Charlie, and I'm kind of giving him a hard time too, because I know Charlie, I go way back with Charlie. And so I've had a lot of experiences with Charlie, and I know Charlie pretty well.
This ain't your first rodeo.
Oh my God. Him with the sound clip. He's doing great.
And Giselle, I think you'll have a pretty clear rebuttal on this, and because I know you're really smart, and you are right. I'm not by any means disagreeing with you, but I guess in my scenario, I think that saying it, I think sparingly and amongst friends who have, right, like that understanding, that have that knowledge that you do, that, and I think as long as we're not using it derogatorily, if that's a word, and in a safe space, right, with friends, with other like-minded people who wouldn't use, who outside of the safe space wouldn't use it and would hopefully educate people if they were to use it derogatorily or in a nasty way, that it might be okay every now and again because words are funny, and we have guys are dumb and find dumb shit to be funny, that is fairly harmless. I think, again, used within the parameters of like a locker room or a safe space, that it'd be okay. And that's all I was telling Charlie. And I was giving him shit because, like, he wrote the book on saying the R word and being offensive and stuff like that. So
This
that's
was
all
Homo
I would
erectus.
say.
Okay. I'm not the Homo erectus. Charlie, I'm ignoring you. I mean, okay, so, like, definitely I will say something back to that. But I think, first and foremost, I don't know if it's the polite thing to say, but I'm sorry about your sister, because that is a tough place to be in.
Thank you.
Yeah, like, I'm very aware of how delusional that situation is. I'm very, very aware. And it's really sad. It actually is like a
It's
cult.
horrible.
It's very, very sad. Yeah.
It's horrible. It's
It
like
really is.
I like, don't even get me. I could go on, but yeah, no, thank you. I appreciate
Of course.
that.
Yeah, because like it's definitely, that's very hard to lose a family member in that capacity. I understand that. And
Absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's horrible. And the free thinking is not free thinking. One second, my cat is at the door just scratching. Hello. Okay, he wanted to come in and be part of the phone call.
Yeah, no, you're right. It's complete indoctrination. I mean, she's like, she's in a cult as far as I'm, concerned.
Yeah, and the one thing that we can see about cults is, especially when we've known the person before they joined it, right? The things that they're doing now would be very hypocritical probably to the person that they were before, correct?
Absolutely.
So in the same breath, it's very hypocritical to say, I know this word isn't right. However, I'm going to use it in a place that it feels okay to say. You see the connection I'm making?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So it's like, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Because I was going to say, so it's like, safe space. I mean, that could be a whole different topic for a different day. Safe spaces, I believe, started, I don't quote me on this, everyone, but I believe it was in the 60s that became actually a big thing, especially for the LGBTQIA plus community. So we could talk about whole education on what a safe space is, but we won't get into that right now. But that being said, though, that's the thing, like you and every other pretty much man I've spoken to on this topic, it always will stem back and fall back to the, but it's okay because it's a locker room talk. And I try to encourage people and say, okay, but why can't we make a change within that locker room? I mean, I can't go in there, apparently. I mean, shit, I would. But, like, you know what I mean? It does, like, that's what I was trying to say on the podcast last time is that, like, it starts with us, right? So to still kind of defend yourself for having that in your vocabulary still just doesn't make sense to me because you seem so self-aware and you seem so aware of the hindering that this word has. And just because it feels like a safe space, you never know. Because let's say you're with like 3 friends and you all have said the word and there's never been a problem. Let's say it's a year has gone by, you guys all get to meet up again, you're all hanging out, one of you drops the R-bomb, and then one of you's like, hey, dude, don't say that. And you're all like, okay, but we always used to say that. Let's say, for example, he got with a woman or a partner, whoever, who is, let's just use autism, for example, on the spectrum. And he's now been educated on why that word is harmful, right? And now because it personally impacts him in a way, and it hurts him because he feels like his partner is being talked down upon in every group of anyone who falls under this category of any type of spectrum, right? So then your friend is telling you, well, hey, this is messed up vocabulary. And you're all saying, well, it's just between us. He's like, no, but now this impacts me too, right? So it's an awareness. Just because it feels like a safe space, you never know where life can bring you. You never know who you'll meet, who you'll connect with. And I think it's dare I say it, as a Black person, some people might not agree with my take, and that's fine. But I would say it's the same, because I think people get a little more shy with the N-word. I've noticed that, like, they don't really want to have this conversation. They'll automatically go, you're right, Stone, you're right. You know what I mean?
True.
But the thing is, why don't we say that with the R word? Why do people still defend it so heavily when it does hurt people in the same way? Would I say it's the same capacity of hurt historically and statistically? No. But it's still hurt, right?
Yeah.
It's still pain. It's still a way to not only put other people down, but I mean, there was a time like people like me and, people always say, which is ableist in and of itself. So this is actually a great example. People say, I couldn't tell you were autistic. It's like, well, what is that supposed to mean? You know what I mean? So many of us have inherited ableism within ourselves. We don't realize we have it. We have this belief of what a spectrum should look like, what Down syndrome should look like, what autism should look like, what all these things should look like. But that's why I always say it's all a spectrum, because it all truly is, right? And the R word, you have to remember, this used to define people with just ADHD, which in today's world is so normal, right? Like everyone out here is like, I have ADHD, right? Like,
I have ADHD.
Yeah, exactly. So we all say it. It's like, so there was a time frame though, people were put away for just having ADHD, which is absolutely bonkers to me. And they were too hindered under this word. They too were shunned. They too were, there was a time this slur was used and people were defined to be this way. They went through sterilization. They went through lobotomies that they didn't want to have. There is so much context behind how painful this word is and what it's done to people. It's like a miniature. The best way I can describe it, and then it kind of clicks for some people, is like, think of what Hitler did, but not exactly in the greatest, it's not the greatest comparison. But what I'm saying is it's that same mentality of everyone agreed okay, sure, let's just let these people be abused. Let's put them away. People like threw away their own family members because they fell on a spectrum that they couldn't at that time frame understand, right?
Didn't they didn't they euthanize people with like Down syndrome back in the day?
Some people were euthanized, and some people, I saw sterilization. That was a big thing, and then lobotomy, stuff like that against your will. It was horrible stuff.
Didn't they do that with one of the Kennedy daughters?
Yes, they did. You're correct. Yep. And then she forever could not do anything, which is horrible, you know? But I feel like, you know, it's
classified as Homo erectus.
Is that a soundbite? Oh, yeah, it is. It's okay, Charlie. You know, it's about knowing the roots and where it comes from. It's more than just the meaning. It's more than people just saying, oh, like you're offending me. It's when you really take the time to look into our history. It's horrible that it's still to this day exists, and people laugh at it like, oh, but it's just funny. But it's like, but what makes it funny when you actually have the context of it? And we all pretty much have a phone nowadays. People can look this up and just know with it. It's about education. It's dehumanizing, to use that word, and it's continuing a cycle of discrimination, whether you mean it to or not. It's not about your intent; it's about the impact. So even if you feel like, but I don't mean it this way, it doesn't matter what you mean. You're saying something you shouldn't be saying. If we had my perfect world, you know, like it would just erase. We would erase all these things, but it's not how it works. Like you even said yourself, the way this country was built, it's not something we can fix. Like we can't go back and fix it, but we can correct how we move forward.
Absolutely.
It starts with our vocabulary. It starts with our education. It starts with how we treat each other. It starts with being kind. And that's all I was just trying to say, like a few days ago, you know, and today too. So it's like you're there, but you're just not there. You know what I mean? But it's like I hear it when you say it. You're like, I understand. So it's like, okay, now act upon what you understand. The same way that I don't think you would just drop the N-word, just kind of trigger yourself. Be like, don't say the R-word that way. You know, it's teaching yourself to not do these things.
Ian, do you use the N-word, Ian?
No, and honestly, to be fair, I don't really use the R word. I was just kind of wanting to give Charlie shit, you know. I'm like, dude, what the hell? What? You know, why are you being a pussy? Why are you being a puss? You know, just kind of some dumb guy shit. And you're absolutely 100% completely right. And I knew like that. Yeah. Anyways, you'd have a rebuttal, and you're absolutely right. And I know, and I in fact know a good amount of what you said. But you're right, and you're so right. Like, do I use it?
Wait. So are we getting that it's still dangerous? Let's say we had this conversation. We all had this conversation with Giselle. Let's say, Giselle, me and Ian, we get off the phone and we still just call each other the R word. What was it at that point?
I mean,
it's just being closeted, right? It's just being like a closeted Nazi, huh?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, right? Like, I always kind of hated this expression because I'm like, horses are actually very smart, but I will use this expression. You can lead a horse to water, you can't make it drink, right?
Right.
So the hope is when we educate people that they really will take that, they'll internalize it, they'll learn. But at the end of the day, I can't force your hand. It's gonna end up either coming from, like I said, a point like that example I made up of like, let's say you guys run into an old friend and they're like, whoa, you know, maybe that's going to really hit you. But in the same breath, it's always going to be your choice. And that's what's so scary about, I mean, like, look at the state of our nation where we're about to be next month, next year. It's terrifying. And it's because of lack of, I say, education, but not just education like school, but actual real life experiences. And actual understanding and empathy. I think if we could all operate under empathy and kindness, then we could change. I feel like we could all hang up this phone right now and you guys would be like, I don't want to say that anymore, you know? And Charlie is a great example. I do want to say this, Ian, because I understand, like, the things he says, I understand. Like, believe me. But you do have to see, like, right now, he's actively trying to change, even though he's still kind of dropped it when we were doing the podcast. I'm like, Charlie, like, you know, he is actively trying. And I think that's all
absolutely
for. Yeah. That's all we can ask for people, you know?
Right. And I, you know, said that to him too. I kind of prefaced like, hey, you know, big kudos, because
No, you prefed
Yeah.
it telling me
Pussy, yes, pussy.
that's how you prefaced it.
but yeah, because I like to give you shit, but no, I mean, you're absolutely right. And I think that's great. I mean, do I think it's a little self-serving still? And still like, I mean,
It's fun
I think it's
to
a little
exploit people. It's fun. It's fun to abuse people.
No.
No?
I'm saying,
Oh, I thought I had it.
I'm saying what you're doing is good, but I think it's also a little self-serving, right? Because you're doing the podcast. You're still kind of like the center of attention, but you're trying to change your ways. And I think that's good.
I belong. Ian, this is where I belong. I don't want to be doing this. I don't like doing this. I think podcasts are stupid. Center of attention, yes. I'm the youngest in my family. I'll always be the center of attention. I like that. But no, I don't. I'm not self-serving. I'm doing this for the country. I'm doing this for you. I'm doing this for America.
I mean,
pretty much think of me. I said it another time. I'm like Aragorn, right? He was kicked back.
Right.
He was a ranger having a kick-ass time, just going the countryside,
Right.
killing orcs. You know what
Right.
the fuck he wants to do? Just living like a bitch in life, right? And
Right.
then he had to come and help Frodo, not because he wanted to, but because he was the heir to Gondor. And that's me, man. Or you can think of me as the American Jesus, where Jesus led a perfect life and he still had to suffer. That's me. I was living an awesome life, Ian, and now I have to podcast, and I don't even like podcasts.
Yeah. You poor thing.
I have it the
Struggle,
worst.
huh?
I have it the hardest in America right now.
Oh,
And
definitely not.
before we even talk about oppression to people in America and American history, I would like to point out that I got very distinguishable Neanderthal features. So before we even get there, my species are dead.
Uh-huh.
Dead. It's just like, this is why, I have to just elevate myself. Listen to a higher power, Because
I think this is great, Charlie. I think this is good, and I think I'm really happy that Giselle, you're being a good person to Charlie and preaching the gospel. I think that's really great, and
no, tell me the truth. So Ian actually was a longtime fan of the original show Boombox Diddy.
Okay.
Did you vote for Jill Stein just so Trump would get elected and I'll come back and make a podcast?
You caught me, Charlie.
That's it.
You caught me.
That was it. Oh, gosh.
That's why we have Trump, ladies and gentlemen, because America wants Charlie to make a podcast.
I don't think so.
What else could it be? You think America's really that stupid, or you think they just want the best entertainment?
I think America's really that stupid.
I think a lot of people, and no offense, Ian, I understand the moral compass of where you were standing, but in the two-party systems, that was a waste of a vote. But I can't tell you you're right or wrong. That's just my opinion, the same way you have yours. But at least there was some type of education there, because the people who vote for Trump, there's no education there at all.
Yeah. I mean,
nothing at all. Like, I understand, because it's like
different kind of education.
Yeah, it's like we want change, and especially like, I mean, this is a little sidetracked, but it's, if we can't care about each other, like I always say, this at least the environment. Like, hello, like,
yeah,
climate change is so bad.
Yeah, but half the country doesn't even believe that that's even a thing. So, which
is alarming, right? It's like, God.
That's extremely alarming. But that's why, and that's why I think I'm a bit of a nihilist these days, and why I'm like, okay, yeah, I mean, I understand that the R word is bad, but like, I want to fucking laugh, and I want to fucking say what I want to say, and I know that's a horrible thing. Right? Like, especially the conversation we just had. But I think that's just me. That's my nihilism kind of shining through. Like, this world is fucked. This country is fucked. I'm fucked. So, like, who cares? I mean, I don't know. Like, can we change things? Probably. Could we educate people? Sure. But, like, I don't really want to or care, So, like, that's just kind of my thing.
Mm-hmm. May I ask you something? Like, I don't mean this in like an offensive way.
No, please don't. You don't have to.
Is your frontal lobe fully developed, Ian? I know what she's gonna ask.
Oh my God.
I don't know. I'm not sure.
What was the size of the school bus when you went to school?
Charlie, no,
I can't use that one.
No,
Jesus Christ.
That's a good insult. Isn't that what we're trying to accomplish here?
But I think I'm still putting down people, though, is a problem.
Yeah. That's a whole other one. Charlie, I'm going to go back to my question for you. I do. Okay, so there's actually, wait, there's a lot that I have to say. I'm sorry. Okay, I thought it was one question, but there's a lot. So before the question, one, so the thing that you said about Charlie and like the podcast being, what was it, self-serving, right? Or
yeah.
In a way? Yeah. So kind of your mentality and outlook on life right now is also self-serving though, right?
Yeah, but I'm not afraid to admit it, and I don't care because I'm a nihilist,
Well, are you just a white, straight, cis man? That was my next question.
I'm that too.
Yeah. So, okay. So
there's a lot to Ian. He can be many things at once.
I'm a complex human being. Okay.
You're a complex, nihilistic, white, straight man.
I would say,
right. I
wouldn't
say straight, totally, but.
Hey,
well,
now.
Yeah, I mean. Hey now, woo! But I will say, like, the reason I did ask is I feel like that sentence structure of like, I'm just gonna do what I want. I don't care, like whatever, like we're all, like I feel like that does come from a place of societal privilege. Not to say you didn't grow up in poverty, not to say
absolutely.
You didn't. You know what I mean?
No.
You get what I'm saying?
Absolutely, you're absolutely right, 100%. Yes.
Yeah,
that
and
is
it's just
coming
like,
from privilege.
Privilege,
but
right? So
yeah, but okay, but like what what should I do then?
Well, I mean, I think, in my opinion, right, it's valid to feel like, well, I agree. I'm not, but like, if we could live through like 10 more, would do that because I don't want it to be January. Like, I really don't. So like, I understand that, and I understand that fear, but it speaks volumes when things happen around us in the world, and then we allow that to shift our character and our integrity, right? Because at the end of the day, you're valid to feel the way you feel, like, oh, this is fucked, but it shouldn't change how you treat others, even how you treat yourself, how you interact. Well, it doesn't, but it does. So if you feel like, because like that is something I also want to point out, because it's like, oh, I want to say what I want to say, I want to laugh, but it's like, what about what we just discussed? Like, what about the R word, for example? What about that makes you laugh? Why do things like that make you laugh? That's something you really need to
we're human. Because we're human and we're dumb and we're simple creatures, and like words are funny. Words are just kind of funny.
I have a
theory.
But not for everybody, right? So just because something's funny to you, right? Yeah, and I get it, because like then we also look into like comedy and like the history of comedy and sketches, stuff like that, and I get it. There's definitely times things were not politically correct at all by any means, but there's still, even if when we look at comedy, I know SNL may not be the greatest example right now, because I know a lot of people don't like where it's at right now, and that's fair, but we do have to remember, like comedians, shows like that, things have started to elevate in a way. There's still a way to make fun of things, even if it feels a little, you know what I mean?
But SNL isn't funny.
Right, that's my thought. It might not be like the greatest example right now for people, but what I'm just trying to get at is if comedians who were for years using like the R-bomb and all these other things, even if they have made a shift, why can't like we as people, not to say we need to look up to these people, because like at the end of the day, they're just people, you know what I mean? Right, but it's just giving that example of things do elevate, things do change, and that's okay.
Absolutely, and you're not going to catch an argument from me there. However, I will say I don't think we should be necessarily looking up to these specific comedians for changing. I think it's the media, and I think it's the people who are in charge of SNL and the media and the Daily Show and the CNN, all these things that are controlling what what really goes on, and the language and the vocabulary, that comes, and that's why people like my sister and people who voted for Trump and people on the right are pissed off, because they're like, well, they're taking our words away, they're taking our rights. First it's you can't say the R word. Next, they're going to take our gun, and so that's
next we got to chop off our wieners.
That's right. So I just I forget exactly where I was going with that point, but I just don't think we should look up to comedians.
And that's what I said. They're like, it's nothing to look up to. Yeah.
But wait,
they're
Giselle,
not the ones that are righting their wrongs.
Giselle was about to say something about being nihilistic is self-serving. Were you about to say something about that?
We already talked about that.
Oh, yeah. Where am I? What year is it?
Pay attention, Charlie.
Is it West Russia yet? Oh, no. Okay. Well, no, I might. Oh, yeah?
Charlie, hold on. Okay,
and again, I say that in a broad sense. I'm nihilist about the state of the world, about the politics and just the general, why are we spending millions of dollars to catch some guy who killed a CEO when cops are killing, people left and right? It's just so apparent and so clear, nihilistic kind of view on that kind of stuff. But when it comes to community and people who are close to me, absolutely, I try to be, we're all self-serving, right, in ways, and we all have issues that we're dealing with, but I try not to bring that, on my day to day. And I do try to change and educate myself and be a better person, and to reevaluate the vocabulary and the things that I'm using and the ideas that I'm consuming, whatever. I'm getting derailed here again, but again, I'm nihilistic in a general sense, not in a not so much a day to day. And I kind of say that just to give myself a bit of defense, hey, I know it's bad to use the R word, but also what the fuck are people are dying, there's better things to worry about, right?
I would say, I understand that mindset, but in the same breath, it's it's kind of it breaks down as simple as when we're talking to a friend or something, and they're like, "Oh, I had such a bad day, but other people have it worse." Okay, sure, they do, but you still had that bad day. Let's talk about it. You know what I mean? It's the same thing with, yes, there are people being murdered right now. Yes, there are so many fucked up things happening right now around the world, not just in our country, but around the world. Yeah. I agree with that, 110%. And the reality is those bigger things are so much bigger than us. It's it sometimes feels well, maybe we can't fix that. And that's why I always encourage people, though, let's fix what we can fix. So while it feels okay, it's the R word, but there's worse things, it's maybe there are, but we can still fix that,
You're absolutely right. Yep.
So it's I don't know, it takes time for people. And I think that's the thing, is everyone's different. Everyone's going to be different based off of their experiences.
So I guess, Giselle, you don't you don't believe in a world where we can have peace, but people can use the R word. You don't think that those two things can exist. You think it starts with eliminating the R word, and then hopefully, in an ideal world, we eliminate the R word, then we eliminate, abortion, and then we end all war, right? That's kind of your.
Well,
no, go ahead.
No, you're good. I don't. I'm not saying one thing can lead to the other, right? I would like to believe that. What I'm saying is, I believe that change can start small. So even if we're not even just talking about the R word, we're just talking about the change within ourselves, because then that change within ourselves impacts the people around us, and then impacts the people around them, and then the people around them, and the people around them. So it's a chain reaction. I'm not saying it's going to overnight make everything happen. I'm not saying that they coincide. For example, we could have world peace, but let's say I snap my fingers, we get world peace right now, but there's still people calling me the N-word and calling me the R-word and all this messed up shit, right? But I would like to hope that conversations like this lead to, if this happens to me and I'm like, let's say we're hanging out, we're all hanging out, you, me, and Charlie, and something like that happens, that you guys would speak up for me because you know it's wrong, right? And so it's like, we have to think that our vocabulary does matter, because it can shift to change. Because think of if all those people who voted for Trump, for example, if they actually knew and understood things, think of where we would be right now, right? But a lot of them are operating, I mean, let's the elephants in the room, they're operating off of racism. That's the reality. A lot of them are. A lot of them are. Exactly. Supremacy, racism, and sexism. A good majority of them are operating off that. And that's why I'm so heavy on when I was talking about the locker room stuff with Charlie, I was saying, okay, but why can't you guys change your conversations in there? Because it does matter. Because we have a person who's about to be president who openly uses that quote unquote locker room lingo, right? So it's like there is a standard we have to have within ourselves, within our small communities, even if we don't think it matters in the grand scheme of things, it really could. Because imagine if that moment, like, let's pretend everyone's oblivious in the world except for just a few of us and this our age range. I'm sure we're all near the same age. Let's pretend it's just all of us that are alive right now, and we're about to be the next old people, right? And let's pretend let's pretend we all went back in time and just one of you said something in that locker room, and then maybe you might have got bullied for it, maybe not. Who knows? But there might have been someone else who stood with you and agreed, and then another person will stand with you, and another person, and another person. Think of if all that change could have happened, and then we all became full functioning frontal lobe adults, and we all made our voting decision, right? You get where I'm kind of going with it? I'm not saying that can overnight change these things. I mean, in Giselle's perfect world, I mean, we wouldn't even have to have this conversation because it wouldn't have existed. Like, that's my perfect world, but I can't, the same way that you're saying, we can't go back and change things. We can only do better. So while we are these adults that we are now, how can we do better for each other? How can we do better for ourselves? You know, because it's never too late to change. That's the thing. There's this amazing story. I think he passed away now, but it was a few years ago. This older white gentleman was like, okay, wait, I actually need to understand what the fuck is racism and why do I not he's like, why do I not like black people? Like, why? You know what I mean? Because he was taught that. So he started going door to door. The black people who actually wanted to deal with him, they dealt with him because, you know, we don't need to do that if we don't want to, but they did deal with him. They talked to him, they educated him. He went to the library. He took out all these books. He read, he educated, and he was like 88. So it's like, it's never too late to change. And then he ended up becoming friends with all these people. He started getting invited to these events, and he started to make friends in a race that he ignored for most of his life because that's what he was taught to do. And it's so alarming that there's people who will never have experiences because of hatred that is taught to them and is in ways inherited because of our societal structure. And it's like, that's why I always encourage people though, like, push yourself to be different because you could make a change. Like, why do we always just fall back on, oh, well, it's locker room talk, or, oh, well, that's how I was raised, or, oh, this is what I believe in because of this or this or that, when we should dare to always want to elevate ourselves to improve and to do better, you know?
Sure, absolutely.
That was a very long-winded answer, but there you go.
No, that was great. And my whole thing, I guess what I'm going to use is justification for still using the R word. And again, clarify, don't use it very much, but not my favorite word. But that there's just bigger fish to fry, right? You know, like, yeah, like I understand it's wrong, and that we shouldn't be using this locker room talk. And you're absolutely right. The change starts with us. Right.
What do you mean it's bigger fish to fry? All you have to do is not use it. It's not like we have to like go on a huge endeavor.
Like, I know.
Interject too. That really quick. I do want to interject. While you do say there's bigger fish to fry, that's like, again, like you and I both said, there's definitely probably things in the world that are like, oh my God, you know, like, or it might be slightly worse. But let's take into consideration statistics, right? Let's take into consideration too all the children, for example, because I was one of them. I almost killed myself multiple times growing up because of being bullied persistently and that word being used towards me. I've lost friends to suicide because of being harassed and bullied. And no, it's not your fault. I appreciate that. But it's like, there is an impact there that does exist that I think maybe we didn't touch on the last podcast. And like you and I, obviously we're just talking now for the first time. We didn't touch on this either, you know, but so as much as it might seem okay, well, there's genocides and there's these wars and there's that, and that's fair, and there's people dying. There's still people dying because of this word. As much as it feels like maybe it's not as many as it used to be, and because people aren't always institutionalized, which they actually still are, if they're on any type of spectrum, it still does happen. It still is something that is important. It is massive, and words do matter. As much as maybe I think as adults with our frontal lobes, more developed after you hit 25, allegedly they're all developed, but some maybe more than others. But you know what I'm saying? It's at the end of the day, we're all capable, I think, of, which is kind of scary for the human experience, but I think we can all be capable, whether we have depression or not. We can all be capable of feeling like, I'm over it. You know what I mean? Which is rightfully so, especially with where the world is at. And you never know how much your word, just one word, could impact someone who's already like stepped on the edge. You get what I'm saying? So as much as you're saying, okay, but there's bigger fish to fry, it's like, but this is pretty big too, like the countless amount of suicides I witnessed growing up is no child should see their friends. That shouldn't happen. That shouldn't happen. And then even into my young adult life, 18, 19, 20, 21, even all the way, like I said, when you think we get older, it wouldn't happen. I lost a friend to that at 25. It's possible because words, you don't know what anyone's going through, right? And so as much as we're saying, but there's bigger fish to fry, this is big. This does matter, because the impact can be so detrimental is what I'm just trying to get at. So it is important to to correct.
And you're right. I'm sorry. I don't mean to like downplay it. But you are also helping me understand just actually how much bigger it is than I initially realized. So that's good.
Ian, we're doing this for you. Let's be real, man. You're the only one this word actually means and infers. You voted for Jill Stein. We're doing this so you don't hurt yourself, Ian.
For others.
So what's wrong with voting for Jill Stein?
Wait, here. Before we even go there, I found this clip of Joe.
We've been getting $1 million. It's not fair. Fair? Who's the fucking nihilist around here, you bunch of fucking crybabies?
That's you, man. That's how you sound. I didn't know how the audio would be, but what's wrong for voting for Jill Stein is that you could have been voting for someone that could actually run the country. Jill Stein can't do squat. Has she ever done anything in her life other than run a bunch of miserable failed campaigns? I don't know. What has she done? Has she done one thing?
Well, what the fuck has Joe or Kamala done?
What has he did? Well, just on my street, looking out my window, I see new paved roads. I see EV parking. When they're making a train, what do you mean? No, they did it. They put up bridges. They put up in Los Angeles. I care because I walk on the roads. I drive on them. They're making a train station from Las Vegas to Los Angeles that Trump's probably going to knock down. What they did, he saved Ukraine, so making it so China doesn't take Taiwan, which means we still get control of the whole maritime trading routes, which means we get the best deal, which means we're the top dogs, which means we rule the fucking world. Now we're not going to rule the world anymore because I'm with a bunch of...
I did want to interject in Charlie's rant for anyone watching this podcast, just to highlight for any political person running, there's a thing called Google, there's a thing called research if you don't know what people have or haven't done, and better yet, you can actually go to the official White House website to see what each president has done. Thank you. Just alarming because people don't know that.
And here's,
I just got to put that out there.
Here's another thing, Giselle. I already announced it. I am officially now going to run for president with my only campaign promise is I'm going to use that presidential immunity to force Joe Biden to run the country. And I'll just be the face of it so people can't cry.
I'm not sure, but go big. I believe in your dreams.
I just want to rile people up. I love Joe Biden. That's such a good campaign promise.
I mean, like, for me personally, I think Charlie, you and I have had this conversation, and obviously we haven't. I don't like anybody, and nobody ever likes my take on that. I quite literally don't like any politician. And they'll be like, well, what about Bernie? Nope. I don't like any of them. They're all corrupt. Jill Stein actually does have a history of corruption. We'll talk about that another day. They all do, though, because anyone who's in there.
Talk about it right now, because we're never going to talk to another Jill Stein supporter.
I mean, the reality is I don't have all the time, and like that's why I said research is always important. You can look at track records. Bro, it's already 41 minutes. I have to get going in a few minutes.
Wow,
Okay,
you hear
but
that?
what I'm just
You hear that, Ian?
Yeah.
That's a
What I'm
lot of corruption, man. She
what I'm
doesn't
just
have
trying
time.
to get at, what I'm trying to get at is all politicians. I don't really trust any of them. That's always been my belief. You know, we do unfortunately have. I mean, Ian, I think he already knows because I touched on it. I was like, I understand his perspective, but the vote felt like it was wasted. But at the end of the day, he already did what he did. He can't fix it. I can't fix it. It is what it is, right?
So
But
you
that's
think my
because-
vote was wasted? Is that really what you're saying right now?
Yeah.
Well, I do, but I'm not saying it's your fault, right? It's because of the
That's such a-
two-party system that we have. That's my
Demo-
issue.
Right. So
But
what
I'm
do you
actually-
what do you expect I should do?
It's not just your vote
So-
that's
so that's-
wasted.
Yeah. I think the thing is people take it like a personal attack because you'll always hear their voice raised, like not that you're yelling, but you'll hear their tone change, and it's like, no, it's not me personally saying you are wrong, right? It's not me being like, oh my God, how dare you? I'm saying the way the system is established that made that vote not even count, which isn't fair. So I think that's the issue is that people will go back and forth fighting each other, and I'm like, no. I'm saying let's fight the system. That's what I'm saying. You should be allowed. You should be allowed to vote for. I mean, look at all the people who fucking voted for Harambe. That's definitely not frontal lobe energy, guys. Okay, but you get what I'm saying. That like at the end of the day, the Harambe vote should have counted for something. In the greater scheme of things, as crazy as it is, right? Because we should have the right to put those other votes in. But we don't because of how the system is established. And that's the big takeaway from it is I wish that people understood instead of fighting each other, like fight the system. How do we dismantle this? How do we change it?
And that's why I think that like what Charlie's doing is so ridiculous in a way because Charlie, you're essentially what you're doing here is like you're saying that you believe in this system.
What do you mean by me having a podcast or by me loving Joe Biden?
Yeah, by you loving Joe Biden.
I love being the greatest in the world. I love ruling the world. I love being right now. America is the greatest military empire in the history of man, and Joe Biden's been the strongest president. Especially Joe Biden brought America to even stronger position on a world front. I've been to other countries. I was raised in other countries. I see the effect of America internationally, and I have to say,
that's not good.
What, it's not good. In Iran,
I would say I think actually under President Obama was slightly better, but go ahead.
No.
Obama
right
is
now,
a terrorist.
Right, bro, dude, get your frontal lobe checked. Right now, what
Obama,
at least our economy was better.
Committed like war atrocities.
Dude.
He like killed millions of, or I don't know about millions, but he's killed like tens of thousands Syrians in Houthis.
Since
you guys do know that.
Since when do you give a fuck about Houthis, Ian? Do you even
Oh,
know
well,
what a
since
Houthi
when do
is?
you give a fuck about
a Houthi?
Since when do you give a fuck about people who mass murder?
Aren't Houthis the ones that are like bombing our fucking like transportation cargo ships in the Strait right now? Fuck them up. Fucking bomb them.
Don't blame them.
Bomb
so why does that exist though? Why does that exist though?
Because
both of you
people
breathe.
don't like greatness. People don't like freedom.
No.
People don't
It's not about
like
that.
But yes, it is. People don't like long hair. If I go to those countries, there's going to be an angry mob against me.
God,
no. If I'm there, if in Russia you can't have gay people, you can't have long hair. In Iran, a woman can't show her hair, even though my hair is better than all their hair combined. And then in China, they don't have a vote.
Exist?
They exist.
So why do these things exist?
I'm not. That's them to go through. But I know right now where we are today, America is what stands in the way of them having more control over the world and enforcing those kind of bigotry and oppression. And yeah, we're not perfect, but we are the best. And all the countries that are better than us, they're only able to be better than us because they know if anybody touches them, America, we will go and kick their ass. So
But why do we do that?
We can do it because we support them. We support them being better. We support them being amazing human beings.
No. I mean, why do you do that? When you say we can just go, which I hate the whole we thing, but we could all kick someone's ass. Like that mentality right there is actually harmful too, though.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
And it's
you know
not
what I mean?
because
oh my God,
it's not because they want to do better. It's because they want to be more like America. We want people to be like us.
I'm talking about more liberal societies where they have a lot more, where they can be more accepting and be more lenient on issues where they
Right,
can have a
but
bit more
everything-
pacifism.
But everything that has just been said, though, about like even just like that's why I can say, well, why does this exist? Which you can't like just kind of go in. Which I get it, you're passionate, that's fine. But when we think in like the grand scheme of things, which again, like you, all of us three can't change this.
It
today,
exists because
right?
of this. Because
But-
this is why it exists. Because of World War I and World War II. We were an isolationist country.
Thank you for the history lesson, but that's not where I'm getting at either. I'm saying, why does this exist? So that sometimes is a question to internalize. Like, take a minute before reacting and actually think,
Why
right?
does what
So when
exist?
I'm trying to, well,
Sorry,
if you
whatever.
let me finish a sentence, I could tell you. So I'm saying, why does this exist where we all get so angry? Why does this exist where we believe fighting is the answer? Why does it exist that we believe genocide is the answer? Why does it exist that we need to fight for constant power, right?
I'm not
Like,
saying
that-
I'm not saying that we need to fight and that's the answer. I'm saying that
I'm not saying you're saying that.
Yeah, but I'm saying by
but
me
that's been historically our answer.
Okay, but by me
Correct.
repping Joe Biden, it's more about standing up for yourself. Where that's
This
what,
isn't me talking about Joe Biden. This is me talking about the structure of not just America, but the world.
Oh well, I
And a lot of
well,
a lot of the structures that, hold on, if you let me finish, a lot of these structures that exist, and that's, you're not going to want to hear this answer, right? A lot of things that exist when it comes to the oppression, like how you brought up the example of the oppression of women, right? In certain countries is people might argue is worse than just in America, right? And which is true. There's women who are stoned to death in some other countries for simply looking at a man. It's horrible. That shouldn't happen to anyone, anywhere, at any time. I cannot emphasize that enough. Like you said, in Russia, and I actually have friends in Russia who tried to flee out of there, who are part of the LGBTQIA plus community, right? It's alarming that these types of hate crimes are allowed by their government. But in the same breath, when we point our fingers, right, as Americans, and we're like, these are horrible, we still have these things, but in a lesser degree.
Yes.
There are so many hate crimes alone that happen against women in America that are not, people aren't charged for a good chunk of the rape that happens to women. I mean, look at our next president. He is a convicted felon and a rapist, and he's about to be president, right? So how are we, as a country, how are we as a country any better? It's the same with, there's so many, Matthew Shepard is an amazing example of what a hate crime looks like. If you don't know about him, again, Google is free, okay? I don't have time to give every type of history lesson under the sun right now. But there are so many hate crimes that happen against LGBTQIA plus community, especially trans people, especially Black trans people, that is overlooked by our judicial system constantly. Constantly. We are not, when we say, oh, the Americans, we are not any better. It's copy paste, but a different font.
Wait.
That's all that it is.
No.
And when let me finish a sentence. And when we actually look at why this all exists, a big reason is because in America, we think the patriarchy is only here. No, it is around the world, okay? It starts, so this locker room talk isn't just an American thing. It's all around the fucking world. And until we actually take the time to break that down and deconstruct what that is and what it looks like to not live that way, we will never, ever, and I cannot stress this enough, we will never have world peace. We will never have that because we always operate from a viewpoint of patriarchy, a viewpoint of obedience, of people lesser, quote unquote. I'm not saying people are lesser. People quote lesser than us. And when I say us, I'm not saying American. I'm speaking as in like the viewpoint of patriarchy, of men. It all stems back from that. If we even, you brought up World War I and II, like where does that really stem from? That's what I'm trying to get at. It's there's so many layers that there's no possible way we can touch on these all today. But to get passionate about it, you're fair, Charlie. Ian is fair.
No,
everyone's fair because
I'm
that's
right.
the great thing. We're allowed to have opinions, but what I'm simply encouraging you is to look at why do these things exist though? And it's not as simple, just word vomit. Well, we had World War I and II. Yeah, I know that. No shit, Charlie. We all learned that in school.
The patriarch, if you want to look, I read a book about it. It's called Sex and History. Is even at the dawn of man, it was more equal with women actually being more favorable because they were giving birth and babies. It wasn't until the first thing is that human civilization, that that they started, or consciousness, whatever, they started realizing, connecting the dots and realizing that it was an act of coitus and sex with a man that produced a baby. Because it happened 9 months later, that it actually took humans a long time to make the connection. And so at that moment is the argument where man started becoming a little bit more possessive, going, oh, that's my baby, you're my woman. And then step 2, in these cultures, or in this paleoanthropology, whatever, when we were hunter and gatherers, man started learning how to domesticate animals. And when they figured out how to domesticate animals, they had more time because they finished all their work, where the women were still being gatherers and they had to spend all the time still gathering. And so when men started domesticating, they were able to start specializing and having more time. And that is what kind of started breaking human civilization into patriarchy. So that's your question. And it's like, what can we do about that now? We're not the best. We're definitely not. I mean, we are the best. What the fuck am I talking about? We are the best, but we can be better. We can be a better version of ourselves. We're not the best version of ourselves, is what I'm saying. We did vote for Trump, and we do allow rape and oppression and putting down LGBT, all these people. We do. Giselle's right, but we do it significantly less than the other great military powers.
But it doesn't make it any better.
Well, I'm saying we still. This is like what you're saying, where Ian's like, "Hey, there's bigger fish to fry." You're saying, "Yeah, but we can."
No, that's not. But that's not. Though I'm still saying we have. Yes, there is historically a change. There was a time frame, Charlie. You and I wouldn't be able to talk right now. Okay, so I'm aware that we're in a different world. I get that, we've changed, but we can still do better. You can still acknowledge that there's multiple things going on. I'm not saying one is greater than the other. I'm just saying, but we still have to change. I'm personally, Charlie. I'm a black woman. I'm not patriarchal. I'm not patriotic. I don't. Patriotism does not exist for me. So, this conversation maybe is slightly going to be different in your mindset than mine. I also have indigenous blood, so I'm definitely not woohoo, go America. It's not there for me. It never has been. It never will be. But that's still, even though I feel how I feel, I accept that, you know what? I was born in Boston, Massachusetts. I grew up in New York. I moved to LA. I'm an American. I understand that. And I still want good for all other people in this country. And I want good for people around the world, regardless of how I feel of how this country has started to operate and what it has done to my ancestors on both sides of the coin. Okay, so if I can do that, right? If I can do that, we can all collectively do that in a different sense. No matter where we come from, we can all say we need better, not just as a country, but as a whole, right? Because we do. But I think this type of what you're not realizing is your passion. While it's valid to have a passion and opinion about Biden or whoever you want to have it about, the intense patriotism that you're expressing right now can also be detrimental, and that should be discussed and that should be examined, because to have that mindset of, no, but we are the greatest, as much, you might not like this comparison, but you do almost sound as bad as Trump.
No. Of stuff, Trump calls us garbage. Trump calls us garbage. Kind of stuff, that's the difference.
No, I'm not saying what he does or doesn't say. What I'm trying to say is the language that you use is just as detrimental. Well, right?
But remember,
right, he's trying to make America great again.
Well, yeah,
you know.
I'm saying, well, right now, I want to say I hear you, Giselle. You're heard here. I understand you. I have Neanderthal in me. My people are dead, so I'm right there with you. I'm just kidding. Is Giselle going to kill me? Don't. I just lost my steam. I put everything into that, and now I just fell flat. But no, I have enough patriotism for everybody, but I'm losing my patriotism because now we are West Russian. And so, I don't feel it anymore. And that's why I'm doing this podcast, Giselle, is because, I am like Trump. I think like Trump. I do. But that's why I love Joe Biden, because even just as a moral leader of character, everything that you're saying is what Joe Biden was trying to instill. And he wasn't forceful about it, but his whole thing is about not using slurs. His whole thing is about treating people right and hearing people out and the injustice that they suffered. And he always said that we're the only nation that made up by the way we think. Not by the race or geographical borders or religion, but by the way we think, the thought that all people are created equal. And then Joe Biden would say, We've never fully achieved that dream, but we never walked away from it either. So let's keep walking towards it. And so when I say Joe Biden's the best, when I say Joe Biden's the greatest, and America under Joe Biden's the greatest, I'm saying it's because we're walking towards that dream that we are all created equal and that we can live in a more just and perfect society. And that's Joe Biden. And yeah, we're flawed. But at least we had that ambition, which now we don't have.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, and then that raises that question too, though, of, but why it kind of can even stem back to what Ian was saying too, of like, you know, we don't look at these comedians, don't look at these celebrities for, you know, that influence. And in the same way, though, there is like, Charlie, I hear what you're saying. Like, it's beautiful that you can see that from someone and take that from someone and take that lesson, you know, regardless of if that was or wasn't what he was doing or not. And I do agree. I do remember we've had like conversations about slurs and things, but we also have to remember Joe Biden's history himself. There was a time frame he didn't believe in gay marriage. There was a time frame he himself had there was some racism going on, but he grew. And I think that's a good example, is that we all can change, but we can either change for the better or for the worse. And that's what we have to decide for ourselves, not as just a country, but like I said, as a world, as individuals. It starts with ourselves. But part of that change, that if you want kindness, if you want unity, you have to also be able to have, I mean, like, as much as this podcast in some ways, you know, sure, you might be right. It might be a little self-righteous, but in some ways it's also important, because I don't know if I would have ever met Ian, and I don't know we would have ever had these conversations. So conversations like this need to be had, and I encourage people to have them, even if they can be a little difficult. You know, I think we've gone all over the freaking sun right now. I was here for the R word, and now we're everywhere. But, you know, that being said, you know, these conversations are important to be had, and in the regular world, I feel like we don't have them amongst our friends. So you know, which maybe we should start having these. It shouldn't just be we get put in a phone call and don't really know what the fuck's going on, and then we all get here. But, you know, like, it's a good start, and maybe it can encourage us to want to have these conversations. I mean, all we can hope and want to do is to do better, you know? And so, like, again, Charlie, like, I'm not here to invalidate anyone. Even if you put me on with a Trumpster, unless they were really rude to me, I probably could talk to them too. I have no issue talking to people, but the reality is, like we were talking about earlier today, there's some people you can lead them to water, you can't force them to drink it, right? So that's why we don't focus on quote unquote wins. We don't focus on, did we change someone, did we not? It's not about conversion. It's about hoping that they actually take something away from that and can sit with it and become better. And if they can't, it doesn't, to me, feel like wasted energy. Now, do you pick and choose where you put it? Yeah, especially as someone who's faced racism my whole life and other horrible things. I know where and when I should kind of use that energy. The same way that Ian is like, you know, my sister, when he said my sister, you know, I just don't waste that energy. That's valid. Sometimes people need to kind of lose themselves to get back to themselves. And sometimes we can't always help them. And I'm a firm believer that everyone can change, but I also believe that, you know, if they don't want it, they don't want it. And some people might forever live in their ignorance, and that's really sad, but it is a reality that happens. There's plenty of people who die every day who died ignorant. And we can only hope that we don't die that way ourselves.
I gotta check what Ian's thinking.
And now, back to the Homo erectus.
Oh, God.
Ian, how do you feel?
No, I think this is all, I think this is all great. I mean, again, I told you from the get that, like, Giselle knows what's up. Like, you definitely, I agree that I think, you know, we've been under a patriarch since the dawn of civilization. And that, I think, is the root of a lot of our problems, is we never let go of this white supremacist, you know, we never let it go. And that's why people like my sister and her family are so gung-ho and so afraid and God-fearing and think it's about them, because they think that they need to hold on to their, to put it bluntly, to their race, you know? You know, they think that the patriarch and the white race is like being compromised, you know, by the left and by
the left. Because they're all interracial, and all the good white men left are all lopping off their wieners. They must think it's a train wreck right now.
But like, but what one thing I will say is like, I don't think it's like, I don't think it's a good idea to like idolize people like Joe Biden. I think he's a fine guy, but like, I think you're absolutely right. I think that's the problem right there, is because, that's how we get Trump in office.
Wait. How can you How can you red, white, and chill without Joe Biden?
The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters.
Not to like speak for Ian, but I also do. I think, I don't know where I'm the same wavelength with this. I could be wrong, but I think like that's kind of. I think we're both saying the same thing, because I was saying it's cool that you got that kind of inspiration from someone, but there's a big difference between getting inspired by someone and idolizing someone, and that's important to distinguish that difference.
Yeah, and ultimately, I think we need more options. Like I shouldn't be chastised or told that my vote is wasted because I didn't want to vote for the fucking douchebag or the shit sandwich. It's just like, we need more options. Like, yeah, do I love Jill Stein? Do I know Jill Stein? No, not really. But I'm not, I wasn't ready to give my vote to either of the other candidates. And like, yeah, I don't necessarily think in like investing in like the infrastructure and like building a bunch of new roads is like a good enough reason to be like, no, this guy's a good guy. Like, I don't think we need more roads. I think we need less roads. I think we need less cars.
No. It's about fixing shit. It's about fixing everything. It's about keeping everything up to date.
No, because what we have is broken. We don't need to fix it. We need to break it down, and we need to start over, and we need to try new things.
Okay, then we need Joe Biden, because we can go to World War III and nuke everybody, and then we'll all be starting over again.
Oh, God. No,
there you go. That's why no matter, all roads lead to Joe.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, man.
No nuking.
No, well, hey, I think Ian wants to start everything over again, and that's probably the best way.
No, I don't think
the climate will do that for us.
Yeah. If we don't do it to ourselves, with nukes, the climate.
We're almost there.
Yeah.
That's kind of crazy to think that, because I mean, there is suicide. Like on an individual base, people can commit suicide, but you don't actually. Is there like a country, like national suicide, you think? A country just nuking itself? Ian, you should run for president.
No, I don't think I think that that's a more feasible reality to start over than actually toppling this patriarch. I think that that's probably what'll have to happen to like get really any mass change, or like you say, Giselle, some sort of climate catastrophe. But no, I don't. I think we're in too deep, and I think we need like a meteor to really do anything at this point. And that's probably why. And again, maybe this is my nihilism kind of shining through again. But yeah, I just don't have a lot of faith in the political in America's political system. I don't mind America. I like America. I like what it stands for. I'm not patriarch. I'm not patriotic, but I'm not necessarily not patriotic. There are things I like about America.
I think that's because you don't get your Joe on. We were talking about. Last night, I had Ethan from California, America, West Russian, is that we're at the point where now we kind of just accepted that the climate change, there's going to be no resistance to it anymore. So that's going to get kind of fucked. And we're going to really go full force into global warming, where we were talking about how last time there's major climate change, where we went the ice age, 98% of the human population was decimated. So what we're talking about, we're looking at now gearing up for a mass extinction of humans, and it's about who's going to be on Noah's Ark, who's going to be that 2%. And that's why we're looking at America's going to an oligarchical situation with Trump and Elon Musk, where it's looking like the rich people, where when we had Joe Biden, first we were trying to slow it down and do our best to curb it. Even if our best ain't good enough, at least we weren't going down without a fight. And second, the Noah's Ark was based on it wasn't based on who's the rich and powerful.
Right.
It was about more. It was about more for all, about helping out the little man, the working man, and getting us all on Noah's Ark. Where I'm just kind of accepting that we're all gonna be drowning in the sea when all those ice caps melt. All Elon Musk and Trump and maybe Jill Stein are all gonna be on that Noah's Ark, and we're all gonna be like the Titanic, like Jack from Titanic, and that's just the way it is. Unless we all learn to red, white, and chill. And the first rule of red, white, and chill is you got to get your Joe on. That's why you don't feel patriotism.
No, I told you, I like America. There are things I like about America.
I love America. But this isn't America. We don't live in America anymore. Now we live in West Russia. The only Americans right now is me and Joe Biden. We're the only ones left.
I would beg to differ on that one. Just indigenous and shit. That's fine.
No. Stop that. Joe Biden apologized to the indigenous. I know it's not much.
Oh my.
Whoa.
Oh, golly,
he also dedicated some of the land for national parks. He protected some of the holy sites of Native American tribes so that they couldn't be raped and pillaged by Trump's administration. He protected them.
That's really great. Did you know just the Seneca Nation alone is still owed like billions of dollars in New York? But
He's one man.
Yeah.
He's one person. You guys want the Messiah. You expect the president to be the Messiah. You expect him to be God. He's not. The president is going to be...
And that's a great point you bring up, Charlie. And that's why it all starts with us. You're right. And community. And everyone working together. There, you got the point. There we go.
We finally...
It's there.
Thank you.
Right.
Thank you. Getting more red wine chill by the minute.
Hour.
Yeah, you think you have it rough, Giselle. I was asleep. I thought it was my alarm, but no, it's Ian just calling me a pussy and using the R word. Luckily, I spent the night at Camp Water Tower, and so I was able to just start broadcasting. Otherwise, I don't know what I'd have done.
For you having to wake up and broadcast, wow, I couldn't imagine.
Idea.
The trauma, yeah.
The trauma never stops.
Oh, my Lord. Well, Ian, it was nice to meet you. It's been an hour to get going.
Giselle, it was really great to talk to you and great to meet you.
Great to talk to you, too. Charlie, always an interesting time. Thank you for having me.
Oh, thanks for coming in. I was defeated. I could not have the conversation because I'm just accepting it. I'm opening my arms to it. Again, I say this a million times. I'm repulsed by the right. Anything that can differentiate me from West Russia, I'm keen on. I'm down for it. So if that means me retiring these words, even though I don't really kind of understand the full impact, but what you said, because you're coming at it, Giselle, where you're like, hey, it's about just being more empathetic in our lives and being kinder to one another, which that's another way of getting your Joe on, if you ask me. Where when you talk to Trumpers, your whole thing is about triggering people. And
actually, wait. One thing I want to tell you. I'm going to interject. One thing, since you love Biden so much.
Thank you.
So you know how people make fun of his speech impediment, right?
His stutter.
So when you say every time, think of it this way, Charlie. Every time you drop the R-bomb, you're making fun of Joe Biden too.
Joe.
There you go.
Well,
you don't want to.
That's why. That's why he's so good, because the whole world does make fun of him, and he still does everything the best. He doesn't care. I love. I mean, I get that. I mean, the more I do a podcast, the more I'm coming to terms with that. I probably have a speech impediment because I listen back and I'm just like, oh, this sucks.
Okay, Charlie, but it's thanks for having me. You don't have a speech impediment, but thank you for having me again, Ian. It was a pleasure.
Okay. Yeah, likewise, Giselle.
Okay, bye, guys.
Okay, thanks for the reinforcement, Ian. I want to say one more thing to you.
Of course,
Giselle. Feel free to hang up. I don't know how to do it on my phone. Ian,
Charles.
So man, you made it. How do you feel now? Are you going? You've been led to the water. Are you going to take a sip?
Well, to be fair, I think I was over dramatizing. Like, I don't really use the R word, but I think Giselle is an extremely smart stand-up person, and I respect every word she had to say. So I think I will drink a bit of the water. Am I still human, and am I going to make mistakes? Yeah, probably. Will I let the R word slip around like a particularly dumb friend? Probably. But I was really happy to have that conversation, and I thought it was cool, and I'm glad you're having these kind of conversations. So
you call me self-serving? What the fuck?
I mean, like to a degree. I mean, I don't mean it by. I don't mean to like be offensive by it, but I think
this
I think that's kind of.
I'm doing this so people don't call you the R word and you don't go kill yourself.
I don't think you have to worry about that too much, Charlie.
I don't have to worry about that? God, I'm so glad nobody listens to my podcast. I really hope Giselle doesn't listen to it. Yeah, I mean, I'm doing this for America. I could be doing something cool with my life. I never stop expressing that. I could be doing something really cool. But I'm not. You know how I feel about podcasts. Why would you ever say that? Why would you ever say that? You're turning me into the Joe Biden of podcasting, where I'm doing it for everybody else, and everybody's just saying I'm doing it for myself and all that. It's, bro. But anyway.
Well, fair enough.
Let's think though, man. What are some creative ways some things you can use to replace the R word? I think that's where it really counts.
I really do like the get off the short bus. Or did you ride the short bus?
Yeah, I like that too. But apparently from Giselle's reaction, I think that's just another way of saying the R word. So
no, man.
Yeah, I mean, she said go back to school on that other one, but I don't know. I mean, I get it with you. That's not very. It doesn't hurt. You want to hurt someone.
Yeah, it's lame. It's kind of lame.
And that's the thing that Giselle doesn't understand about us is that we're men. We like hurting other men, right?
Yeah. Yeah, men can kind of just be hateful just because, you know? And it's not like hate directed at like anybody or like again, like abusive of power. It's just like hate can kind of be funny. And like in this fucked up world that we live in, you know, if we drop it, like, I don't know. It's just, it is kind of just a weird human thing that I don't know can be justified or explained. But Giselle's right. I mean, Giselle, at the end of the day, she is absolutely right. And I think that's why women are just smarter and better in a lot of ways than men. But, you know, at the end of the day, I am a man and I am human and I am a part of nature. And do I think the R word is funny? I do. And it's just an unfortunate reality.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to dig you back in a hole. What's what band are you? Do you want to say what band you're in?
No.
Dude, nobody wants to be on my show because they think everybody's like listening to it and then they're all going to get canceled or some shit.
Right. Yeah. Well, like I don't give a shit about that stuff. So I'm happy to come on. But I'm not going to necessarily plug all my stuff. I mean, I don't care. I mean,
what are you happy to come on?
On your show.
Oh, damn, sorry, I can't stop it. You know, actually, I'm getting Andrew from Gettysburg, West Russia. He's calling in an hour and 20 minutes. That's when I was actually going to do the show, where he was going to give me a whole critique. But yeah,
okay.
I just literally walked from the bed to the whatchamacallit, the microphone, like a slave. I get no time. I can't even take a dump. I can't brush my teeth. I can't wash my face. But if you want, man, it's going to be so. Have you figured it out on YouTube yet? Have you figured out how to get the show?
Yeah.
I would.
Yeah.
I would honestly say just subscribe. That way you don't have to always try to search it. Like it's hard. It takes me a minute to find my own account. But
okay,
if you
yeah, I'll subscribe.
Yeah, if you do that way at it's 3:00 your time. 12 o'clock noon in Los Angeles. We're going to be on, and I'm going to be talking to Andrew, but you're more than welcome to, if you have critiques, and I'm kind of curious more about the self-serving. That would be kind of interesting, especially with hearing it with Andrew. But
Okay.
yeah, dude. If you're not doing anything else today, you should stay tuned and
Yeah. I'll stay tuned.
Okay, cool, man. It's already getting long, and I know the first thing Andrew said is that it shouldn't be more than an hour. So.
Okay.
But I do have an editor. We'll see what happens. I got views, man. I got concurrent views. I got 2 people. That's almost more than the people on the show. Okay, dude. I'm gonna be.
Well, cool, man.
Yeah, I'll be back 3 o'clock East Coast time, noon LA time.
All right, sounds good.
I'll talk to you then.
All right, peace.
Okay, everybody, we just wrapped up. I'm the greatest American ever. And Joe Biden's George Washington. If you don't like that, you're not red, white, and chill. If you're not red, white, and chill, then come here and you can learn to be red, white, and chill. Okay, I'm going to be back in a little bit over an hour.